croissant, a big sandwich, a biscuit. All these things are made great by their layers. But does it apply to anything? Do layers make things properly good? So we're gonna put that to the test with a 20-layer grilled cheese, a 30-layer crepe cake, a 50-layer potato pave, and finally, a 100-layer lasagna. We're really pushing it here. None of these are tested, so maybe they work, maybe they don't. But it's an adventure through texture. Like Texture Over Taste, my book, which is available for pre-order. Link in the description. By the way, this place might look a little different. That's because our studio is still being finished. It'll be done soon, permitting. But anyway, let's make this, shall we? So we're kicking things off with a 20-layer grilled cheese. Everything about this seems wrong, but since Burger King did it, we have to do it better. Although I'm not sure it should have ever existed, but whatever. Instead of doing an egregious amount of cheese and 2 buns, I did multiple layers of bread and cheese to separate it all. You'll need a whole loaf of bread, slice it half as thick as a normal slice of bread. Then you just stack bread, cheese, bread, cheese, bread, cheese. Yeah, it's satisfying to watch. And once you hit 20 layers of bread and cheese, you just stop because that's enough. Horrifying, but look, I'm not gonna judge a book by its cover today. I know, a surprise for me. I already know you in the comments thinking, oh, he's so mean. Well, so what? So I toasted it on both sides in butter, and obviously 99% of this is not melted through, so we finished it in a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes, and behold, surprisingly, the outside was beautifully crisp while the inside stayed luscious and soft. Let's cut it for a cross-section, and okay, it looks pretty cool. And a little bit of proof that it was melted throughout to transition us to see if it was worth its layers. Everything about this is wrong, but at least it's better than Burger King's. Burger King, this is probably what it should have looked like. I like it. Every culinary fiber of my being has been completely dismantled, which is great. Anyway, regular. Okay, so this one, I want you to picture a grilled cheese. Imagine that. Now this one, it does look cool, I will say. Down the hatch. That's awful. Never do this. You ever get too much of one flavor and you kind of want to throw up? Yes. When you put this much American cheese in your mouth, just in general, it's not going to be a good time. The little Burger King thing, that didn't come from a boardroom meeting. That was devised by Lucifer. No, we did a little science experiment. Ha ha ha, so fun. Moving on to crepes. This is a Nutella stuffed hazelnut praline crepe cake. First, praline. You gotta make the praline. You can go and buy it and blend it, but come on, it's really easy. You're gonna need 4 cups or 720 grams of toasted hazelnuts. Fun fact, did you also know these are called filberts? Place it on a baking sheet that's been lined with a silicone baking mat. In a medium saucepan, add 3 cups or 420 grams of sugar and half a cup or 120 milliliters of water. Bring that to a boil over medium-high heat, and once it's boiling and in a liquid state, add 2.5 teaspoons or 10 grams of fine sea salt. Then continue to boil that brother until it reaches a beautiful amber color. Cut off the heat and pour your sugar syrup over your filberts. To fully coat, allow to cool completely, it will get hard. Then once completely cooled, snap into small pieces, place in a food processor and pulse until you get a medium fine crumble. Moving on, very basic crepe batter. Bowl. Add 1 cup or 120 grams of all-purpose flour, 1.5 tablespoons or 18 grams of sugar, a pinch of salt, whisk it together till combined, then add 1 cup or 240 milliliters of whole milk, 1 egg yolk, 2 whole eggs, begin whisking until relatively smooth, then whisk in and emulsify 1 tablespoon or 14 grams of vegetable oil into the batter. Pass it through a fine mesh strainer or a chinois to keep the batter smooth and luscious. From here, get yourself a non-stick 10-inch pan, heat it to medium heat, lightly grease with oil. Then once that thing is a nice even temperature, pour in about a 1/3 cup or 80 milliliters of your batter and immediately swirl it around the pan to fully coat the surface before it fully cooks. You want 1 even circular layer. Anyway, let that cook for about 25 seconds, flip and cook for 20 to 30 more seconds. Repeat that with all of your batter. Now, the assembly is very basic. First, crepe down, followed by a nice layer of Nutella. You can make your own Nutella. I also have a recipe for it. Fully smear that across the whole surface of the crepe, leaving a tiny bit of edge. Top generously with your hazelnut praline, and then you restart. Another crepe, Nutella, praline, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat, until, well, really as many layers as you want, but we went to 30 total layers. Now, if you count this visually, you're thinking, oh, that's not 30 layers. You got layer 1, crepe, layer 2, Nutella, layer 3, hazelnut praline. You could always do more, but that's 30. It's time to taste the next level. Now this is a cake. You can like feel every layer as your fork goes through it. That's pretty satisfying. Wow, it's a lot of Nutella. If you love Nutella, this is gonna be your jam. Texturally, it's beautiful. Deep hazelnut flavor, not from the Nutella, but from the candied hazelnuts. But on top of that, it's like as you bite through, you can feel it go like boom, 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 like you're going down an elevator of a textural wonderland. Layers make a crepe better. That's why we like them stacked and folded, right? So yeah, more crepe layers makes this better. Now let's move on. But anyway, we have a 50-layer potato pave. This can be slightly time-consuming, but it's quite simple to make. Peel 8 pounds or 38 kilograms of russet potatoes and slice them about 1/16 of an inch thick on a finger death trap, also known as a mandolin. Toss those in a heaping 1/4 cup or 60 milliliters of melted duck fat. Oh, Josh, I don't have duck fat. What the f? Okay, so then use any animal fat. You cannot use butter, you can't use oil. It's important in the congealing process when you chill this later. Just please trust me. It can be lard, duck fat, or tallow. Now, the hard part is actually over. That's it, you made it. See, it's okay. Maybe it's good for us to unplug from letting our eyes go black as we scroll endlessly through our lives. Maybe you just needed a lot of potato to process that. See, this is why we need to prep more food. Anyway, grease a deep pan such as a 3rd hotel pan. You can also get those on Amazon, link in the description for that, or you can use a large deep bread pan. Line that bad boy with parchment, add 1 layer of sliced potato boys, lightly brush with additional duck fat, and repeat that exact process until you reach a total of 50 layers. Be sure to season each layer lightly with salt as well, unless you want it to be totally unsalted. As a side note, you will need 1 pint or 475 mils of duck fat to do this. Now, once you have your stack, cover with foil and pop in a 300-degree Fahrenheit or 150 Celsius oven for 1 to 2 hours, or until a cake tester or toothpick inserts easily. But don't overcook it, all right? We're not making mashed potatoes here. Remove the foil, place another bread pan or a 3rd pan on top, and then you can use tomato sauce cans, whatever, to weigh it down. Place in the fridge and press overnight. The next day, pop it out. Cut into 1-inch thick slices. I mean, look at these layers, dude. Brother, that sounds special. Cut each of those slices into 2 evenly sized rectangles. You can also square off the edges if you want them perfect, like this. And the rest is simple. Large pan over medium-high, add just enough oil to coat the bottom of the pan, and then carefully add your chilled potato pave to the hot pan and sear for 2 to 3 minutes or until golden brown. Carefully scrape underneath it with a thin spatula and flip to repeat on the other side. Pull it out, season with flaky salt, and look, you can eat it straight like this with ketchup, or you could get a little bit fancy with a generous dollop of creme fraiche. Optionally, you can take the back of a hot spoon, make a little divot in the center of your creme fraiche, fill that with chili oil, top with thinly sliced chives, additional flaky salt, and let's taste. Woo, getting hot in here. Observe. Oopsie. Layers can lend themselves to a little bit of fine dining. A little cut, oh yeah. Every single layer maintained its structure. It didn't turn into one piece. And it's crispy. Holy f. This is by far the best one. By far. This is like if you took 1,000 baked potatoes and laid them on top of each other and then fried the outside. And I'm saying baked potato because I've got the creme fraiche, I got the spicy, I got the onion, but this baked potato's in 2075. As you bite through every single soft layer, you get the crunch on the outside, you can feel your teeth fall through each layer, just like the crepe cake, but even better. And it's cooked perfectly, it's seasoned perfectly, top 5 potato dish we have ever made. Period, end of story. And what better way to transition to the real challenge? You made it to the alpha and omega of layered food, the one you've been waiting for, the 100-layer lasagna. Listen, very important. Sure, you can use fresh pasta, but in southern Italy, you typically see dry pasta, so there's that. But it's also gonna avoid overcooking if you use dry pasta because it's heartier than fresh. And for a really big lasagna, you might wanna think about that. Anyway, let's talk about bolognese. You need a large pot or a large rondo, heat over medium-high, add just enough olive oil to coat the bottom of the pan. Once extremely hot, add 3 pounds. Yes, this is a big lasagna, okay? 3 pounds. Or 1.3 kilograms of ground beef and 3 pounds or 1.3 kilograms of ground pork. Sear for about 3 to 4 minutes until it starts to brown a little bit. Then add 1.5 pounds or 675 grams of pancetta that's been very finely chopped or ground. Cook all that down, stirring often for about 5 to 6 minutes on medium-high. You're keeping the heat hot, okay? Once all the meat's cooked through and beginning to develop some little crispy bits, remove all your big meat from the pan. Add a touch more olive oil to coat the pan again. Reduce the heat to medium. Add 2 medium yellow onions, diced, 2 diced ribs of celery, 6 thinly sliced cloves of garlic. Season with salt and saute until it begins to soften. Add in 6 tablespoons or 180 grams of tomato paste. Cook that down, stirring often until it starts to caramelize on the bottom of the pan. Immediately deglaze with 2 cups or 240 milliliters of dry white wine. Increase the heat to medium-high, bring that to a boil, and let that reduce by half. Add 4 bay leaves, then add 2 cups or 240 milliliters of chicken stock, 2 17-ounce or 500-gram cans of crushed tomatoes. Add your meat back, stir together, bring that to a simmer, and reduce for 10 minutes. Cut off the heat, season to taste with salt, and your bolognese is done. Now, this is a bechamel lasagna. You gotta have a little bit of bechamel, all right? I know it's French-Italian, but whatever. Just trust me. Very simple. 1 cup or 240 grams of unsalted butter in a pot, set over medium heat, let it melt completely. Whisk in 1 cup or 120 grams of all-purpose flour. Keep cooking and whisking for about 30 seconds, and then you're gonna whisk in 2 quarts or 2 liters of warmed milk. Cook and whisk until thickened, like this, then season to taste with salt, and it's done. Big pause. I'm making this a little bit fancier when we plate this, okay? So hear me out. We're gonna make one last and very important sauce. And all you gotta do is throw everything in a blender, so it's not that hard. Spicy romesco sauce to serve. In a blender, see? I said blender, okay? You can trust me. Add 2 fire-roasted red bell peppers. When I say fire-roasted, I mean they're burnt over an open flame. You let them sit, you peel them, there you go. 3 fire-roasted red Fresno chilies, 4 sun-dried tomatoes that were packed in oil, half a cup or 70 grams of toasted Marcona almonds. I know Marcona sounds crazy fancy. You can get it in most grocery stores. 4 peeled cloves of garlic, 1.5 teaspoons or 7 grams of smoked paprika, 1 tablespoon or 14 grams of red wine vinegar. Begin blending on medium. Once it starts to smooth up a little bit, add a 1/4 cup or 60 milliliters of water to loosen. Blend on high until as smooth as possible. Now, while constantly blending, stream in half a cup or 120 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil until all of it's been added, and it's beautifully emulsified. Optionally, pass through a fine mesh strainer, season to taste with salt, and that's your romesco. I mean, look at this thing. You ever dip a little carrot in that? Woo! Crazy. It's finally lasagna building time. We need 100 layers, and yes, we counted. First off, no way around it. Get yourself a deep half hotel pan. You can get it on Amazon, just please. This thing is gonna make your life so much easier. Link in the description. Grease and coat with parchment paper. First layer is a very thin layer of bolognese, followed with par-cooked lasagna sheets. You'll need about 6 sheets per layer. So total, you'll need about 150 lasagna sheets, just as a heads up. After that, you're gonna do another thin layer of bolognese, followed by a layer of bechamel. Do it in thin lines like this. Then a layer of ricotta, little dots all over. I know these don't seem fully cohesive layers, but when we press the pasta sheets down, it's gonna spread evenly, substantially. Don't put too much, or it'll be too tall and messy. Anyway, after that, well, you're ready to repeat that exact same process. And if you're wondering, yeah, it takes a while. Be ready. Put a movie on. Call someone you haven't spoke to in a while. Tell somebody you love them. Hell, maybe you can see if you can get a date. And finally stop being single. That's a joke, okay? It's okay to be single, it's fine. So keep repeating that process. Lasagna sheet, bolognese, bechamel, ricotta, pasta sheet, bolognese, bechamel, ricotta, until you quite literally hit 100 layers, or in this case, 101. Anyway, cover with foil, pop it a 350 Fahrenheit or 175 Celsius oven for 1.5 hours, press another deep half hotel pan on top, and just like the potatoes, lightly weigh it down, not as aggressively, and press in the fridge overnight. The next day, pop it out and prepare yourself in one of the best cross sections you may ever see in your life. Goodness gracious, good Lord have mercy on my soul. That is a lasagna. But we can't eat it like this. Let's make it nice. Slice into similar shapes to the potato pave. Let's say a 3/4 inch thick bar. Make sure your knife is sharp when you're doing this. Once you've got your slices, get a pan heated over medium high, add a few tablespoons of vegetable oil in there, and sear a piece for 2 minutes per side, flipping, just appreciating the beauty of it. Grab a plate, and finally, a nice generous circle of romesco on the bottom. Your seared lasagna in the center of that. You can top it with parm and call it a day. I did a little Parmigiano cream for the flex. I know you want the recipe for that. That'll be in the link in the description if you really want it. Hit with additional fresh grated Parmigiano Reggiano, maybe a nice drizzle of herb oil or olive oil, extra virgin. Top with torn fresh basil. And now we find out if this was all worth it. It all came down to this. Beautiful plate, honestly. Boys, mission accomplished. Actually insane. Oh my God. This is hands down the greatest lasagna I have ever eaten in my life. And I know I can be verbose. I get it. But I'm telling you right now, I don't think you will ever have a better lasagna. I don't think you will ever make a better lasagna. But why do we do this? Layers. Is it worth it? Yes. Period. End of story. Thank you for joining us on this journey. I love you so much. Goodbye.